And we are live.
August.
Hello, hello, hello.
How's everyone doing today? And those out in the chat world, I hope you're doing great. Always remember, any day you wake up's a blessing. So here we are.
Yep.
Now, today is a pretty easy chat day. We're going to be talking about uh, Buckethead's plans for his YouTube channel. We're going to talk a little bit about some upcoming movies, such as How to Train Your Dragon. Maybe throw in some more other movies that we've seen trailers for and news about that we'd like to talk about, and pretty much anything else that we can come up with. And if anybody in the chat wants to come up with some stuff to toss into the mix, you're more than welcome to do so. First up, let's go ahead and talk with Buckethead about his upcoming channel and what he's going to be doing on it. So the floor is yours, brother.
Well, I've been trying to get the word out that on Monday, I believe it was, uploaded my very first YouTube video.
Sweet.
And it's nothing like what I wanted it to be because it's more of a technological issue.
Oh.
The webcam and mic setup that I'm using right now is one of those ancient 2-in-1 models that is just old enough that the drivers for it are no longer available. So the only way I can actually record my voice on it is to have it open in a web browser as it is right now.
Oh, wow.
But talking with my aunt, she's got a new webcam, a new mic, a new green screen, and a ring light that she is getting for me.
Oh,
so,
wow. That's
with
awesome.
That and Richard working on some artwork for my channel at some point in the future. When the time comes, I'll be ready to go in guns blazing. For now, I'm experimenting with different things and trying to figure out how I can get it to work. Because I want to do gameplay videos, and I have a lot to talk about in regards to Ape Escape, which is the video I just uploaded. Hey, Ian.
Hey, Ian Heimby, how you guys doing?
YOLO.
Are you guys doing okay over there? I know it's still early, and losing a parent's always going to hurt. But we are keeping you in our thoughts and our prayers. But yeah.
Let's see.
If Jeff can put his link in for his channel, I'll be able to post it into the general chat link.
I'm digging it up right now.
Sweet.
But yeah. But what I have a lot to say about Ape Escape, which is the video I just uploaded, or the gameplay I just uploaded.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to be able to do that, I want to be able to do commentaries as I'm playing the game. At present time, I cannot do that.
Oh, wow.
I tried, and first off, the webcam and mic recording software I'm using, which is Bandicam, the free version, because my computer does not support OBS. I'll let that sink in for a minute.
Bruh.
I can only record, because I'm using the free version of it, I can only record 10 minutes of my voice, 10 minutes of me speaking.
Just do multiple takes and then use an editing system to put them together.
Did not think of that. That is a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
But I can record like up to 2 hours of gameplay footage at one time, which isn't a problem. I want my videos to be roughly 20 to 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah. Well, they say that fits into the algorithm really well.
Yeah.
It's long-term streams like what we normally do that the algorithm isn't really that friendly with.
Yeah.
Which is, it's like with Tony's channel, getting him to be able to clip out some of his songs and stuff like that to post. It'd be really cool, and it'd help out the algorithm for him.
Yeah. But right now I'm experimenting, and my next few videos are all going to be experiments where I'm trying different things, seeing what sticks, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. But once I figure out what my flow is, once I get into figuring out how, like, my editing software and my different recording softwares. I have 2 recording softwares. I have Bandicam, which is for my webcam and mic.
Yeah.
Then I have the software that came with my capture card, the Elgato 4K capture utility.
Well, Shrubby's in the audience.
Hey,
Ian,
Shrubby.
Ian, like I said, we've got you in our hearts and our prayers, as well as your family. Mourning, unfortunately, is going to be something you will be dealing with for quite a while. Losing a parent is never easy. My father died in 2010, and I'm still hurting over that. My grandmother, she died in 2005, and my grandfather died in 2004, and I'm still grieving for them. But I'm hoping that you guys can make it through it with the knowing that you are all loved and cared for, and that we're thinking about you guys, and that we're praying for you. I just, it hurts me when I see others going through this. So I just, only thing I can really tell you is from what I saw on the other side, they are safe, they are loved, and they are at home. And they're going to be standing on the bank of the river of life watching over you guys, and they can feel how much you love them. And just remember that nobody's truly gone. Love never dies. It goes on. It's passed on through you, through your children, and those you've shared your love with. It keeps going. So just keep that in mind whenever you're feeling really, really down. That you guys aren't alone. But we're still thinking about you guys and hoping you're going to be okay. If you guys need anything, just let us know. You know how to reach us. Family sticks together, and family does for family. And I consider you guys family. Y'all supported me when I needed it, and I will be here to support you when you need it. And that's just how it is. For Buckethead, what program is it that you've got running? Because if I remember right, you said, let's see, Shrubby said, a very simple remark I heard about it is don't cry for the dead, their time is over. Cry for those that remain, knowing they have to wait until they can reunite. Very true. They're in paradise right now, and we're here until we go over there in that amount of time. I know the people there hope that time between them showing up there and you showing up there is a lot longer than you want it to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like I said, you're not alone.
Yep. I remember when my mom passed. She became a Christian shortly before she died.
Yes.
And she was addicted to everything she did. She had a really bad gambling problem, and 95 to 99% of her time was spent either in bed, drunk, asleep, or down at the local bar gambling and drinking.
Yeah.
And years and years and years of smoking 4 packs of menthols a day. I'll let that sink in. Ended up giving her really bad lung cancer that migrated up into her brain.
Yeah.
And if God hadn't taken her when he did, if he had allowed her to heal and get better, if he had allowed her to live, she would have gone right back into her old ways.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be a blessing for them, and we won't see it.
Yeah. I know my Aunt Peggy, she was I don't know what the term you use for, I know for a gambler who can't stop gambling, it's degenerate gambling. But she couldn't stop drinking. Even when she was on her deathbed, she couldn't stop. But she was so addicted to drinking, Uncle Bill would have to go and hunt for her, and it could take up to 6 months to find her when she was on a bender because she would stay drunk that entire time. Yeah. Yeah, my granddad, he smoked a pipe too. Uh, he gave up on cigarettes before I was born, but he still smoked a pipe. Every time I walk into a tobacconist shop and it smells like pipe tobacco, it brings back memories. Um, it's and cigars is one of those things that every now and again I think I want one, but I can't find one. I can't get one because nobody will take me to go buy some. Uh, but yeah, but when Aunt Peggy passed from she had brain cancer, uh, and that's how we really found out just how bad the chemotherapy drugs was for our family, and how it acted as miracle growth was because of her and Aunt Carol passing away in such a short period of time. Because Aunt Carol, she had mesothelioma, and they removed those sections of her lungs that was those entire nodes, and started on chemotherapy, and it grew back and it filled up her lung cavity lickety split. With Aunt Peggy, the tumor, after they removed it and they started doing the chemotherapy, and her migraines kept coming back, started to come back. And so they did a CAT scan and found out that the tumor not only grew back, but it was double the size it was before they removed it. And that was how we finally had proof that chemotherapy drugs acted as miracle grow for cancer on Mama's side of the family. And yeah, it's some messed up stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
But which is one of the reasons why I told you, Zachary, be careful around the chemotherapy drugs, because
Yeah.
I don't know if that got passed on to me and my
Mhm.
sisters, and might have ended up getting passed on to you.
I mean, I hope to never find out, but
Exactly.
okay.
But it is one of my fears.
Take care of your body. Take care of your body while you're young.
Yes.
The
Now
more
I'm
you
good.
The more you take care of it now, the more you get to enjoy it later.
Exactly. Take it from my broken body can attest to that.
Yeah.
Um,
Our generations, me and Richard's generations, we were told, "Oh, abuse your body when you're young because you can't do it when you're older." It's
So
because
you
you
mean the
abuse your
caveman
body.
generation then?
yes.
It's because you abuse your body when you're young that you can't use it when you're older. Take
Yep.
care of your body now because you won't be able to later.
Exactly. A lot of people don't realize this. You can start developing arthritis when you're your age because of putting your body through shit that you
Oh.
shouldn't have. Um,
I've got arthritis now. I've got arthritis and a bad back, and I'm almost 35.
yeah. Well, if you look at my hands, you can see where some of my fingers have already started the twisting.
Yeah.
My mom, she said she was all one of the first things whenever we'd been apart for a long time. One of the first things she'd look at was my hands, and she said it was hard for her to do it, but she did it because my hands looked a lot like my dad's at my age.
Oh.
Because his arthritis got so bad it wasn't even funny. There's an actor, Jeff Claiborne, Jeff Claiborne, who played he was an action star back in the 60s and 70s, and
Oh.
he developed arthritis that was really bad, and it looked just like Dad's. And Dad would point to that and say, "See, even rich people gets these types of problems." And and that was something he always was pointing to, you know. And yeah, moderation is the way to go. You know, any extreme is bad, be it in life, in food, in alcoholic beverages, or anything. You know, if you go too far to one side, it's never good. Even I've known teetotalers that refuse to drink any type of alcohol at all, that their health had negative effects to that, because there are some things that you should do. It's one of the reasons why I don't understand vegans. I mean, we're omnivores for a reason, you know. Uh, uh, it's like, since going and doing the carnivore diet, I've been warned about, you know, not cutting out vegetables and fruits and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not stupid. I do still eat my vegetables and my fruits and other things than just pure meat, you know, because
Yeah.
I'm not a carnivore. I'm an omnivore. I need both. And the guy I was talking to started laughing. He says, "Okay, good." And the fact that I've got the VA set me up with a civilian nutritionist that's outside the system that I'll be going to go see, not this upcoming week, but the week after. Oh, you're playing Valheim, Shrubby. That's pretty cool. I've got that game. I just haven't been able to play it yet.
One of my favorite a YouTuber that I talked about in one of the first Fireside Chats we ever did, Razius YT. He actually did live streams of Valheim over on Twitch back in the day.
Oh, sweet. Are you enjoying it, Shrubby? Is Valheim a good game? Because, like I said, I've got it. Went and bought it. I just haven't got to play it. Heck, I just found a game that was free to play on stream that I've been playing. And I'm still in the tutorial phase, called Darkest Days. It's a zombie survival game, and it looks pretty cool. It's multiplayer. I'd advise to play Return to Moria for newbies, and yes, great game, just very unforgiving. Yeah.
How many death skeetos have you run into, Shrubby?
Let's see. But yeah, where did it go? But there's several games that's on that are free to play that I found that are fun. I used to do After Infection, uh, but if you're not careful, you can lose everything that you've done if something goes wrong with the servers. And since it's a new game and they're always updating and adding and changing stuff, that got to a point where it was happening way too often. And I wasn't able to sign in for 2 weeks my time because internet connection kept collapsing. And in that 2 week time period, when I went back, somebody had stole everything I had built. They moved in and took it over, and I couldn't take it back. Uh, so I haven't played in a long time.
Mm.
But it was one of those games where you get to build stuff, build little fortresses to protect yourself from the zombies. And that, to me, was the fun part of the game, was building a place that I could be protected from the zombies. But I like those type of games. I've thought about trying to play Minecraft, but every time that it goes on sale, I don't have the money to buy it,
Mm.
which sucks. Uh, but yeah, games are fun. You know, I want to do some live streaming of my Fallout 76 whenever I play it, because I like to get people interested in Fallout 76 and get more people playing because I enjoy it. The community is great. I've not had a griefer problem at all in that game. You know, the more established players, when they see somebody at a low level, will ask if you need help because they don't know if that player is a new player or somebody starting a whole new character to build them up.
As long as you're not in 2B2T, they have the opposite reaction to first timers.
Yeah.
Oh
Most of
yeah,
them will kill you.
2B2T is
They will
chaotic
kill
as
you
hell.
immediately.
Well, Fallout 76, yeah, it wasn't that good at the start, but it's been getting a lot better. And a lot of the stuff that they've added has been pretty good. Uh, so I do recommend Fallout first, so you can have more space to save, to have building materials and stuff like that in your stash. Because if you don't have Fallout first, you can't keep much in your stash, which sucks. But I've been playing it and having a blast with it, and like I said, the community there makes it worth playing. Uh, More established players, if you if they find out that you're a new player, they will help you get the materials you need to build and get started. And I don't see that in a lot of the other games. It's like I love Red Dead Online, and but I was having problems with griefers like you wouldn't believe, because there were people running around and just attacking other players, for especially if they were at low levels. They love that shit. They There's this one dude, anytime I signed on and he was on that server, he would come after me. And several other players he had been griefing found out, that he was griefing me because I was even lower level. We ended up becoming our own little posse to try to protect ourselves from him. And it worked for a while. Uh, and like I said, I don't like that type of behavior in these games. Because, yeah, you might be trolling and griefing somebody else and having a blast, but you're ruining somebody else's experience in the game. And I don't see that in Fallout 76, which has been awesome, Uh, and I just look at it that we've got, you know, it, whenever you're gaming or you're doing something in life, you know, a little bit of trolling is okay. But these people that go into it and that's all they're doing and that's all they're forcing out, they don't realize, yeah, you're having a great time doing that, but the people you're attacking aren't. It's the equivalent to me of six guys and one girl, and they're trying to decide what they're going to do for that night. And the six dudes decide, hey, she's a girl. Let's have fun. And she's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. And they still do it anyway. That to me is the same thing as these griefers. And it's to me, if I owned this a company that was doing a uh, MMOR and they were pulling that kind of shit, uh, yeah, I would definitely be banning people from my games because you're that one griefer who's doing that sort of thing can cause anywhere between 1 to 1,000 people to finally get fed up with your game and just leave. And it's not worth it, if somebody's doing that kind of crap. And that technically is against the terms of service, if I remember right. It's been a while since I've read through a terms of service, but especially after all the time that's passed. But Red Dead Online, oh God, the graphics were so gorgeous. I was spending most of my time playing it just exploring. Yeah, Shrubby, they did. They pissed off a lot of people, but the people that have, like I said, I've been having a lot of good experiences in Fallout 76, and your mileage might vary, but it's a fun game, especially if you're hanging out with other players and you're able to get your voice mic to work and you can interact. I mean, shoot, there's so many groups that do fun stuff there. There's an actual group that goes and puts on plays in the Fallout 76 world. It's funny. They go to a certain location, they set up, and then they reenact a play. And it's pretty cool. You've got players that if they like the build that you're doing, because I know when I first got started, I was working on building out one of my shelters that was a big open space where you can build anything you want in it. And I was building a mock town, and they came in while I was working on it, and they said, "This is pretty cool. What all are you going to be adding to it?" And I told them what I was going to be adding to it. It's just the fact I had to go out and go get more concrete and wood. And I was asking them if I left my shelter while you're in it, will it close the shelter? And they're like, "Oh, no, 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 it won't do that." And they're like, "How long have you been playing?" And I said, "Well, I started in January, and it was like May of that year because I just started playing the game." And they're like, "Oh, no, no." And they actually spent extra time telling me how everything worked and how I didn't have to worry about that. And they said, "Just wait a minute, I'll be right back." And they left and came back in and said, "I got a gift for you." And they gave me something like 1,000 units of wood and 1,000 units of concrete so I could finish building my town without having to go and farm all that stuff. And that was just
generous.
Yes, that was just the tip of the iceberg of it. I mean, one guy was actually he took the time to show me where I was supposed to go get the materials to build a jetpack for my T-51 suit of armor. And then he explained to me how there were because I was seeing other players running around with no armor on, but a jetpack on. And I was like, how did they get that jetpack? He goes, oh, you've got to do this, this, and this. So you can buy the plans to build this set of armor that you can wear under your clothes that can be modified with a jetpack. And I'm like going, really? And he's like, yeah, that's one of the things that you can do. And it was great having somebody show me the ropes. And he says, if you really need help, if you can get the armor, because it was one of those types of armor you couldn't trade, and which sucks. There's certain items you can't trade with or sell to other players, and so he basically showed me how to go about getting the plans that I needed to build it, and then get the plans for building the jetpack that went with that suit of armor. And once he explained it all to me, I then set out to do all the quests so I could get everything I needed to be able to make the armor and everything. And it's fun having somebody who shows you how to do the stuff. I found I learn it better that way than going through the tutorials in games. It's having somebody tell me how to do it and show me how to do it.
Yeah.
That's how I am in real life. If I see how it's done, I can usually duplicate it. And
Same.
Yeah, that's it. I learned the same way too, where you show me something, then you walk me through as I'm doing it.
yes,
Make
and
sure I'm doing it the right way.
I have a friend of mine that says that that's a sign of autism.
Yep. And I have established many times I do have autism.
Cool.
So.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to talk about video games that much, but yeah, there's some really good ones out there. Valheim's going to be one that's, like I said, I've already bought it. I just haven't got to play it. I'm still going through the tutorial for Darkest Days. I've been playing Jedi Survivor. I've completed the main quest, so I'm doing the exploring the galaxy and finding all of the chests at this point. So when I go back and do a Journey Plus, I can start out with everything already open and not have to skip parts because I don't have the skill yet to open that door that starts out at the very beginning. But there are so many video games out there. There's some good ones and there's some bad ones. So that's why I ask people who've played games, is it good? Are you enjoying it?
One of the game I'm actually wanting to start my channel with, Ape Escape, is one of the best games the original PlayStation had to offer. Actually, fun fact, those of you who actually have played on a PlayStation, the Ape Escape was the first game to require and fully utilize the dual analog sticks.
Oh, wow. Isn't Ape Escape, wasn't that part in a way descended from not King Kong, but Donkey Kong?
No. To my knowledge, I don't think it's even remotely related.
All right.
Ape Escape is Donkey Kong and King Kong both are giant gorillas, where all of the apes in Ape Escape are chimps.
Well, Ian Hamby said in Jedi Survivor, I wish we could switch between all saber styles on the fly. And I'm like, me too. Because you can only have two equipped to flip between. Because the cross, I don't know if Ian has discovered this part, using the cross guard technique where it basically turns your lightsaber into a Zoo-hander are a two-hander lightsaber, which is those big, heavy swords that were used by the Swiss mercenaries and the Germans. The Swiss hander, it basically means the two-hander, but it's actually a three-hand type sword, to where you can hold two hands on the hilt, and then put one hand up on a section of the blade that was made for a hand to go to really push it down hard. You can the crossguard saber does that. It turns into that type of a sword, and oh my god, I've learned that it works great for those big creatures you've got to fight. Because there's this one. It's kind of like a cross between an elephant and a rhinoceros. It's big and it's red, and it likes to do the crocodile death twirl on top of you in a fight.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, here it comes. And you can't dodge it. But if you've got that the crossguard saber going, you can cut it up. So that to me is how it makes you wish you could switch between really fast to that. Because if you could switch between the various saber styles a lot easier, it would make the game a little bit more believable and fun. But the problem is, I think they got is being able to hit the buttons and clicking your mouse at the same time in such a way that you can flip through them. Using the blaster and lightsaber combo is what I've gotten really good at using that combo. And switching between it and the double lightsabers. Though they do have, if you like double bladed lightsaber, that's pretty cool. They've got that style as well to go with from Fallen Order. Because in Fallen Order you had single blade, double bladed, and then dual wield. In Survivor you've got single, double bladed, dual wield, and then you've got the blaster, where you've got a blaster and pistol in one hand and a lightsaber in the other, and then you got crossguard. And those are the styles in Survivor. Oh wow, okay. I've never been able to use I don't have
PS4, bro. The PS5 has been out for 5 years. How have you not been able to get one?
He's probably broke like me.
How were you? How were you able to get one when they were out of stock?
He's in the UK.
My mother loves me very, very much. That's why she got it for me for Christmas.
No, it's also probably the fact that you did swipe it from one of her guys that was a real douchebag.
No, that was my PS4, not PS5.
Oh, okay.
Now if you watch the very beginning of my video, you'll notice I'm actually playing a PS1 game on a PS2.
Oh wow.
My PS2 is an original model PS2 that is in perfect working order. The only issue it has is that the video cable for it needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
It's literally the only issue it has.
No, I've got I can't remember. He's actually got one of the early gaming systems that if he was to decide that he was going to sell it, he could get a pretty good chunk of money from it. Because it's still in really good condition. He's taken really good care of it, even though he breaks it out and plays it. He tells his wife, kids, and grandkids that he breaks it out to play it to make sure it's not broke. Which everybody knows is pretty much not true. They know he's breaking out and playing it because he wants to. Because he still he likes those old games. And I'm like, yeah, I get you, Bubba. I get you. Because I mean, the guy still has a fully functioning VHS player and a beta player that all work. And if you guys might not be old enough to remember beta, which was the better platform when VHS was just easier to put out.
Are you talking about Betamax?
Yeah, the beta tapes. Yep. Shrubby's saying he remembers betas. Back in the day, you had the VHS tapes for watching home movies, but you also had the beta platform. And it actually was of the two, it had the better quality video. But VHS was just easier and cheaper to make. And that's how it won the video wars. Especially for the home video movies and stuff like that. Because Shrubby, do you remember if it was the beta home video recorders? I don't mean the ones that you hooked up to the TV to record what was on TV. I mean the ones that had the camera system to where you could record home movies. I can't remember. I know it was a better quality recording, but I can't remember how expensive it was because I think it was as expensive as the handheld cameras that were used by news companies and stuff like that. 8-tracks. Oh God, we had an 8-track player out in the well house until it got destroyed. Yeah. Like I said, the beta system was the better system. It just was more expensive and it took longer to make. But there are some gaming consoles that are that way.
Yeah.
But
my aunt and uncle years and years ago had a Laserdisc player.
Oh God, Laserdiscs were awesome. They were the original compact disc. And original DVD player. I mean, it's the same technology, just
bigger,
different size, you know. The Laserdisc, you had to actually manually flip it halfway through the movie. And I mean, let's see. Yep. My dad, he loved tech. He was a tech junkie. Before he bought anything, he read everything he could get his hands on. And with his dyslexia, that goes to show you just how seriously he took his tech. Because he would go. I mean, he went. We had what are those things? You know, the tech review magazines that came out,
like The Wire and stuff like that.
Yeah, for that and for cars, you know, those were the types of magazines that he would get subscriptions to, and it was something else to sit there and watch him going over it because he had that hard concentration look on his face as he was comparing stuff to see whether or not he should go and get it. And back in the day when Radio Shack was more common, for those who don't know what Radio Shack is, outside of the military usage of the term, Radio Shack was a store that sold tech stuff. Back in the day, buying a fully operational home computer was the Tandy. Most of the times you were buying parts to a computer and assembling them back in the day. Oh God, I still remember the first computer we got was a gift from one of the people at the golf course resort that Daddy was the head groundskeeper of. And they were they had sold the house that they had there, and there was a whole lot of stuff that they had at the house that they just didn't want to pay the money for the movers to ship out, and they told Dad and the other groundskeepers, anything in the house that's still in the house that y'all want, come and get it before the new people who just bought my house show up to claim the house. And so Dad and all the groundskeepers went up there, and I still remember Dad calling Mom to bring me and my sisters up there because they had left a whole bunch of their kids' toys up there too. And they had some really cool toys and shit that little kids, poor kids, would see on like commercials and shit and go, I want that. And we were like, oh my God. And all the other kids showed up. All the other guys brought their kids too. And we were like looking at all the toys that was there. It was like, oh my God. It was funny. But Dad had let all the other guys, their kids go first. He said that because, they weren't as well off as we were relatively, they worked for me and I'm not going to put myself first was how Dad looked at it. So we got what was left over, and even then it was still free stuff. So we didn't really get upset about it. And it was just seeing what these rich people, I don't feel like paying the money to ship it. Y'all can have it. And that's how I learned, you've got good people that can be rich and you got bad people can be rich. And it's just wow, And yeah. Yeah. Well, Cash, these guys, their house was pretty nice that they had sold. And and the only things that they really took out of it was like the paintings they had on the walls, uh, certain pieces of furniture that were antiques. Though there was some antiques that they left behind that my dad recognized what they were from whenever he did restoration stuff. And he asked them, are you sure you want to leave this full antique living room set? And they're like, yeah, we just don't have, even if we did want to keep it, we don't have nowhere to store it. So Dad, it ended up, he ended up taking it to my grandmother who sold it at her antique store and made a pretty good chunk of change off of it. But wow, I mean, it's wild to see just how different some people live, and it makes you realize, they're still human, they just have different resources than we have. Um, yep, Shrubby, that's very true. The antique stuff was worth a fortune, and it's also one of the reasons why when I was out in Phoenix and I had that job opportunity there of flipping assisted living homes and apartments and condos, I was more than ready to do it. And my dad and granddad were like going, holy crap, that's a really cool a thing to do. We'll supply you with the tools so you can take it back out there to do that. Because when they found out that part of our contract would have been to have gotten, if the person had died with no heirs or anything, or if the heirs decided they didn't want any of the stuff, it would go to us to get rid of it all. And while we did that for like a month before ended up coming back home. We were making a pretty good chunk of change doing it. Uh, the fun part was the fact that it was something else. I mean, it was a good job. If I hadn't saw the situation that my grandparents was in, I would have ended up moving back out to Phoenix to do that instead of staying and taking care of my grandparents. But I just could not accept the fact that if they went into an assisted living or a situation, they were going to get separated, and I just couldn't let that happen. My grandparents were always there for me when I needed them growing up, so I decided I'd be there for them as they were getting ready to leave. And like I've said many times, it's the hardest thing. It's the most righteous thing I've ever done in my life, but it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life at the same time. That really hurt. Because when they passed, I felt like I had failed them. Because I know near the end, I know when my grandmother, she gave up near the end, just like Granddaddy had. Which is one of the reasons why I was in such a despondent place and why your mother saved my life.
Mm.
But anywho, let's get to something more fun. The movies that are coming up, there's several of them, not just the How to Train Your Dragon that it looks good. I mean, there's
It
trailers out
does.
there for some of these movies that look really, really good. I've heard both good and bad things about Thunderbolts because Thunderbolts actually has several characters in it I want to go see. John Walker, I love that dude. That he's underused, and people hold him at a standard that he can't pass. And in the limited series that they did on Disney Plus, he even came out and said, I know I can't live up to Steve Rogers, so I'm not going to try to be Steve Rogers, but I'm going to try to live up to it. And he kept trying to be friendly with Falcon and Bucky, but they kept treating him like shit and getting in between him and doing his job. And then they held it against him that after the terrorists killed his best friend and partner, he kills the terrorist that killed the dude. I'm sorry, I'm a combat vet. I know exactly where he was at that moment. So I totally get it. And so yeah, I want to see what they can do with the character. I'm really hoping that Bucky apologizes for being a douchebag towards him.
Me personally, if I were in a situation where I was forced to fill someone's shoes I knew I wouldn't be able to fill,
Yeah.
I was doing the best I can, and I had people crawling down my back. You ain't doing a good enough job. You ain't doing a good enough job. You ain't doing a good enough job. And then they come back later, and blame me for everything. The first thing I would do is hand them is force the shield into their hands and say, "Here, you guys do it if you think you could do a better freaking job." And then
Well, that's
walk
just
away.
it. They beat the shit out of him after he did it and stole Captain America's shield from him. And I was like, what the fuck? Y'all were douchebags to him the whole damn fucking time. Anytime y'all came up on him, even though he was trying to be friends with you and trying to learn from you because you spent time with the real Captain America, and they wouldn't do that. Instead, they were getting in the way of him trying to stop these terrorists from being terrorists. And I was like, damn, that's some fucked up shit. That's actually what made me not like Sam Wilson, was the chip on his shoulder and how they ended up turning it into an activist wet dream of, you got to do better, Senator. And it's like, they're doing the best that they can with what they've got at the time. And in all honesty, they could easily fix what's wrong with the MCU with one little thing. And that was what they were talking about earlier about the second snap. That the first snap that the Hulk did, the world that the MCU is right now, was the Hulk snap. We've got the second snap that Iron Man did, and switch things to where it's stories that the people, the fans themselves, are begging to see. Boom is the second snap of Tony's snap, where you get rid of everything that happened after Endgame that just sucked. But I doubt they'll do it because it's too smart, and it also kind of falls into the category of the world between worlds that we were looking at, hoping would fix what was wrong with Star Wars, and they just let it flop.
Yeah, because they don't want to tell stories. They want to push propaganda, nothing more. They don't care about money. They care about their own narratives being pushed. That's it, nothing more.
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened with Doctor Who. Doctor Who's one of my favorite all-time sci-fi, because when I discovered it when I was in middle school, because PBS was running it, and my first doctor was John Petrowi, number 3, and I got to watch several episodes of it with him, and then it switched over to Tom Baker, and I fell in love, really big time love, with Doctor Who. So much so, I begged and pleaded with my great grandmother to make me the Tom Baker Doctor Who scarf. And she said, "Okay, I'll make it." Well, the scarf she made me was barely enough to be an ascot. To barely fit around my neck, under the collar of my jacket. And I'm like, this is, and she's like, there was just too much to do with it, and I didn't feel like spending all that time making such a big.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that is a big scarf.
Yeah, it's something like 8 to 9 feet long, and
Yep. I mean, Sephiroth's sword isn't that long.
And I was like, dang. But that I still to this day would like to get me the Doctor Who scarf, because it brings back those memories.
I mean, I'm sure you could probably find it online somewhere.
And yeah, but it's usually super expensive. I know at Heroes Con every now and again there's one of the vendors that shows up there that does cosplay, costuming and stuff like that, accessories. They'll have it, but I've yet to find the price under $130 from them. And but I found something that I might be able to use to make one that makes like crochet. It's a crochet thing that makes crochet bags, and use that to make my own. Because that to me is more along the lines of what I was thinking about getting made. But yeah, let's see, we were talking about movies. Oh yes, there's a couple of upcoming movies that look really good. Not just How to Train Your Dragon. I know the John Statham Working Man has already been out. There's one that The Rock's got coming up. That's a biopic that he's playing. I can't remember the wrestler's name. That looks like it might be good. Because when you're looking at The Rock in all the prosthetic makeup, you're like, wait a minute, is that The Rock? Because he looks so much like the person he's playing. And there's what was the other movie I saw the trailer for? Um, dang, it's I'm losing it. I do know that they have some really cool ones. Uh, let's see. What was it again? Um, it's one of the sci-fi movie trailers that they've been showing here on YouTube. Uh, that looks interesting because it's got the predators in it.
Ooh.
I know which one you're talking about. We reacted to it a couple weeks ago in a Startcast.
Oh, okay. Um, but then again, it's got if it's got the predators in it, I'll watch it and see if it's any good. Because I know the one with the Indian girl winning at the end of it was a big letdown to me because it just didn't
I
feel
like
like
that movie.
it didn't feel like she earned it. And to
It
me,
felt realistic though.
well, if you're gonna do it, make the payoff feel earned, and it just didn't feel earned to me at the end. Um, but like I said, everybody can see it different. Uh, I just love movies that
Mm.
I can lose myself in, and if I can't lose myself in the movie, I don't like it. And what are you guys talking about? Sheriff Foth Rising.
I don't know what that is.
We're talking about a villain from a video game series.
Oh, okay.
Who
The
I mentioned Sephiroth in passing a few minutes ago.
Okay. Uh, but like with video games, there's several video games that are looking interesting. Uh, I was able to get the Star Wars Outlaws demo for free on Steam. I'm gonna try that out, see how that goes, so I can finally say whether or not it's good or bad. Um, ow! Dang it, cat!
You
That
okay?
hurt. Yeah, the cat's heard something, and
Oh.
took off running, and but yeah, I mean, there's. Let's see, what was. Hold on, give me a second. I can pull it up. My Steam is open on the other computer because I saw it on my you know how you got your queue, your discovery queue. There was a video game that popped up on there that looked pretty interesting. Where is it? Because I put it on my wish list.
Mm.
There's 7 Days to Die, but that's an old one. The Day Before is one of the ones. Spider-Man Remastered, that's on my list. The Root is on my list already. Empire at War, Stranded Deep, World War Z. That's not the one. Terminator Resistance. I think that's the one I was thinking about, but that's been out since 2019. Or is it? Yeah, Dune Awakening is the one I think I was thinking about. Oh, no, 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 no. Maybe. No, that's not it. Call of Duty Vanguard's not it either.
Man, Call of Duty sucks.
I enjoyed it in the earlier ones,
Yeah.
and it's just not, you know, what it used to be. That's for sure.
I was never I was never a first-person shooter guy. Like the only first-person shooter game I was ever really able to get into was Turok 2: Seeds of Evil for Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
But even that, I really only played the multiplayer mode, and even then, only because I thought some of the things in it were fun.
Well, the reason why I got into it was because it was a World War II one, and because World War II is still one of my favorite subjects, and we basically just go over it, you know.
Mhm.
Let's see, where are you? Once Human? Nope, that's not it. Oh, not you either. No Room in Hell looked interesting, but I don't think that was the one. Oh, it is the latest one. Let me double check and pull up that page because it's one of those zombie games. Because I know, yeah, this might be the one because the trailer for it that I saw was just so cool, and I'm like, if they can get that type of a game in a multiplayer.
It's kind of late for me, so I think I'm gonna head out now.
All right,
All
son,
right.
I love you. Be
Love
good.
you, P-Dub. Bye.
Bye bye. But it looks like a fun game. The graphics look really nice. Yeah, no more room in hell too. And that's important to me. Is it got good gameplay? Does the graphics look good? Does it look smooth? Does it look like you can immerse yourself into it and get lost in it? And that's a big deal to me for games. It's one of the
Yeah,
reasons why.
it's like how with the which game is it that we were talking about in the start cast? I think it was either last week or the week before. Anyways, there's one game where they were talking about how the rest of the game looks good, like the graphics are good, the gameplay is good, and stuff like that. But the thing that everybody was upset about was the character selection. Instead of having a male or female character model option,
Oh,
they had
type 1, type 2.
type A and type B.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And everybody was getting upset about that one little detail. And I even heard Tony say, well, the gameplay is
Oblivion
good. All
Remastered.
this, I heard Tony say, "Oh, well, the gameplay is good, the graphics are good, and all that." But what's the point of it all if it's type A, type B?
Yeah.
The first thought that popped in my head was, if that's the only concern, then what is really the concern? Type A, type B, male, female, that is a minor thing when you're considering the fact that most modern AAA games for the last decade or so have absolutely sucked in terms of graphics, gameplay, and everything else.
Yeah.
This is a minor complaint that, all things considered, really shouldn't even be a discussion in my
Well,
eyes.
I think the biggest reason why it was getting discussed was how the company was acting about Nexus mods. Somebody put out a mod changing it from where it was calling it body type A and body type B to male and female. Because to me that, yeah, I'd be upset over somebody pitching a shit fit over something that simple as a mod that regular people made for other fans of the game made for other fans to be able to use it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, once you sell the game and it gets modded, if the players want to mod it, as long as they're not making money off of it, why do you care?
Yeah. And like if like for example, if they made a remastered version of Ape Escape.
Yeah.
Which they tried a while back for the PlayStation Portable, but that one kind of, for all intents and purposes, sucked. Like the biggest improvement on it was the graphics.
Yeah.
But the gameplay or the controls on it were still wonky, and what killed it for me was they cast Richard Horvitz, better known as Invader Zim, or Moxie for you Hell of a Boss fans, as Spike, the main character. I cannot hear his voice, especially the voice he used at the time, which was his Invader Zim voice.
Yeah.
I cannot hear that voice without my hair trigger thinking that the character he is playing is automatically a complete and total dumbass. Because most of his characters at the time were idiots, morons, and dumbasses. And if you've ever played the original Ape Escape, the character of Spike deserves a little bit more dignity than that.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunately there are actors and actresses, be it both in voice acting and in actual physical acting, that get typecast because of certain roles that they've done.
Yeah. And Richard Horvitz is an amazing actor.
Yeah.
And he finally broke out of that typecast with being cast as Moxie in Hell of a Boss.
Yeah.
Before that, and I've since learned that he also voiced Alpha in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers way back in the 90s.
Oh, wow. Cool.
But yeah, he voiced Alpha 5 back in Power Rangers.
Well, like I said,
that shows you how far his voice has come in all these years.
Oh yeah. Well, I can't remember which I know Leonard Nimoy he was afraid of getting typecast as Spock for the longest time until he finally embraced it when he saw the positive impacts that character was making. And because he did a lot of science fiction stuff, as well as documentaries. I mean, In Search Of, he was one of the original narrators for it.
Yeah.
And I watched that show religiously as a little kid. And I mean, as a little kid, I'm talking about a kid so young that I was barely in school young.
Another good example would be how Peter Cullen has been typecast as Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
And he has embraced the character. He is Optimus Prime.
Well, I've seen him at conventions, and he is one of the most human of people. I mean, he loves his fans because he knows if it wasn't for the fans, he wouldn't have a career. And yes, Shrubby, the I am Spock, I am not, I am not Spock, and I am Spock audiobooks of his biographies that he wrote are very wow. Because I actually was given it as a gift as a kid, his biography books. I wished I still had them because they'd probably be worth some money, but they were really good. Because his first one was I Am Not Spock, was him trying to fight being typecast. And, but yeah, I mean, actors it's so easy to get typecast. I know that the guy that played Radar on MASH he left the show not just because he was afraid of being typecast, but he did want to spend more time with his family because the amount of work that he was doing was taking him away from his family, and he had some young kids that he wanted to spend more time with. But there was also the part about worrying about being typecast. Um, yeah, that's an actual real issue that actors and actresses have, both regular and in the in voice acting. You might mean Rick Moranis, Shrubby, because he quit acting almost completely. Yeah, Rick Moranis did that because when his wife died, he pretty much stopped doing acting of any kind. Um, and he was at the top of his game when that happened. It's one of the reasons why I look at Patton Oswalt like he's like what he is as a pretty big douchebag. Because Patton Oswalt, all he did after his wife died was turn around and found another woman to marry to take over the role as mother to his kids instead of actually being a parent to them. But then again, I don't look down anybody who has someone in their life, if there's especially if there's love attached to it, because I know what it's like being alone, and I can't stand it. It's not fun. It's not good to me. I was never meant to be alone. That was one of Mama's biggest worries before she passed away was me being alone. Um,
Yeah. I think the last role I remember Rick Moranis in was Ghostbusters.
yeah.
But Ghostbusters 2, but still.
Do you mean Rick Moranis or do you mean Patton Oswalt in that? They're Shrubby. Burt Newton. I can't remember Burt Newton. But yeah, I mean, I've with Rick Moranis. I mean, he's one of my favorite comedians. Yeah, Patton Oswalt. Yeah, he's had those rumors all around him for a while. Oh, okay. Uh, when it came to Rick Moranis, I mean, he was he literally was at the top of his game. He had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, that entire series of movies going behind him. Uh, yeah, Rick Moranis did. I can't remember which of the characters he voiced in Brother Bear. Um, but Rick Moranis, he had so much stuff going on when his wife died, and then he just pulled out of it and went and backed away. And every now and again, he'd dip his toe in so he could keep up his insurance. Um, because that was so important was keeping up the insurance that he got as an actor. That's why you'll see cameos by actors that have quote unquote retired showing up on TV shows or movies in little cameo bit roles, is so they can stay active enough to keep their insurance. And it's pretty interesting way they do that. But yeah, uh, I'm still at that point of one of the movies I would love to see get made, but I know it will probably never get made again, and that is a McKenzie Brothers movie. Strange Brew 2, The Next Beer. That would make my head explode going, yes, yes, I have to see this movie. because I'm sorry, I am a big fan of the Strange Brew McKenzie Brothers movie when it came out the first time because I watched the heck out of that movie. I mean, Max von Sydow as the bad guy was awesome.
My first introduction to Max von Sydow was ironically the Star Wars prequels. I mean, I'm
No
aware he was
way.
a big. I'm aware he was a big name before that. Like I knew of his existence, but my first introduction to him was in The Force Awakens.
But yeah, so Max von Sydow, I mean, he played El Cid. Uh, I mean, there's so many movies he made that were in black and white back in the day that I watched and seeing. But yeah, if you ever get a chance to go to watch and stream Strange Brew, do it. It is funny. The McKenzie brother. Oh God, Rick Moranis. Oh man, the McKenzie brothers is so funny because there's this one bit in it where their van doesn't stop and it ends up in the lake, and everybody's like going, "Oh my God, they're dead, they're dead." And the police divers go down there, and the two of them are living off of the air that was in all the beer bottles.
Wow.
And it's funny because the divers knock on the window while they're sitting there breathing from their bottles of beer, and they roll down the window and hand over their insurance card and their driver's licenses. It's it is a funny, it's a cute, funny movie that could not get made today because it was so politically incorrect.
Why does it remind me of? Why does it remind me of that song? I think it was a Billy Currington song. I don't remember. It's either Billy Currington or Blake Shelton. Playboys of the Southwestern World.
Yeah, yeah. It's if you guys get to watch it, you're gonna enjoy it. And like I said, it's a cute movie. There's a dog in it that's really cool. It's a black dog that's got a white streak down its back.
Yeah.
Um, and it loves beer as much as the McKenzie brothers do. And the whole plot for the movie it's so silly, it's funny. And is one of the things that they do. And I mean, it's a good movie that it's one of those types of movies that you watch when you want a good giggle. Okay, I don't recommend it if you want to watch something serious. It's one of those movies where you want to laugh. And but yeah, I would be first in line to buy the tickets if Rick Moranis and what was the other guy's name? They're both Canadian actors that do the McKenzie brothers. But if they were to announce right now that they were going to make Strange Brew 2 another beer or another round of beer, I would be like, oh, hell yes, I got to see it. If they were to crowdfund it, I'd be like, here's my money. Take my money.
Yeah, like the Futurama Fry meme. Shut up and take my money.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many really good shows and movies and books out there that I would love to see them revisit. And the actors and actresses are still out there and are more than willing to do it. They actually think that it would be a cool thing to do. Um, I mean, dang. Uh, for those that loved The Expanse, go to Kickstarter right now. There is a Kickstarter for The Expanse where they're doing them as comic book graphic novels, and the actors and actresses from the show are involved in writing it and getting it made. Um, in fact, they did a read through with the actors reading their characters' lines as a YouTube video. You should be able to still find it on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, and the artwork in these graphic novels is amazing. If I thought I could get away with showing off a couple of pages, I would. Um, the the work is just it it's really good. It's really good. Um, and I can't remember how much time is left on it. But like I said, right now, if you guys love The Expanse, go to Quick Kickstarter and type in The Expanse and pull it up. And if you find it in your heart that you want to back their Kickstarter, do it. I think it's through Boom Studios. Uh, and there's so many really good things on Kickstarter that I've seen that I would love to support. I just don't have the money to do it right now. And that's one of them. Because if I had the money, I would be backing it. But at the moment, things are really super tight because of dealing with some house improvement issues that we're dealing with. That will help improve my health a great deal. And so I'm not spending the money that way. If you guys understand me,
Yeah.
I'm holding off on anything like that until I get the home improvements made that will benefit my health. And as y'all guys remember from last week, all the stuff that I've been dealing with health wise, that should make it easy to understand.
Yep.
Because I need to lose weight and I need to get back healthy, which means thankfully whenever the pain medicine shows up, I'll actually be able to start doing stuff again. It just sucks that I've gone without pain medicine since 2018, and all because of the fentanyl epidemic that has been called, it's the opioid epidemic. And doctors are too afraid to stand up to the bureaucrat saying he can't have his pain medicine. Give him something else. We can't give him anything else because he's allergic to it. And the doctor I've got, she did not want to stand up for me having pain medicine. So instead, I've been suffering ever since.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Sounds like we need to do the same thing with the bureaucracy that I want to do with Congress.
Yeah. There should be a turnover in the bureaucracy. Oh, big time. That might actually.
I think there should be a mass removal, a mass exodus in the bureaucracy.
Yeah, because whenever bureaucrats think that they're above the law and they can do whatever the hell they want, it gets bad. But let's not go there for right now because that set me off on a rant that'll last 4 or 5 hours.
Oh yeah.
Because I can't stand people who think that they're above the law and they can get away with stuff like we talked about before here. Ladies and gentlemen that are listening, please do a search through YouTube for angry cops and the stuff that's going on with the Buffalo school systems. And if you live in that area affected, do something. Hold them accountable. Make them pay attention. Make them give a damn about those kids and the parents that have been affected by that. I'm sick and tired of unelected and unaccountable government officials getting away with obstructing justice, And that really upsets the hell out of me, boys and girls, because I don't. The biggest reason why I don't agree that there should be teachers unions is the fact that the teacher union puts the teacher over the student. They don't care about the student's safety. They don't care about the student's education. They just care about protecting a teacher's job, even if the teacher shouldn't be there because A, they're on the sex offender registry, or B, they've got a long list of stuff that any type of background check would have excluded them from being able to hold that job. And that's how I feel about the teachers
Yeah.
unions. And at one time they might have been necessary, but not anymore. There's so many unions out there that really have outlived their purpose. But there are places that do need unions that don't have them. It's like what Bunet's going through right now at his job. They really have a union because they're not being treated right by the company he works for. That's all I'm going to say there, because I don't want to get him in trouble.
Yeah.
But like I said, some unions, they still need them to this day, but most of them, they don't. The whole collective bargaining thing, yeah, it's become bloated, and they overstep everything they've got. And a lot of the people that run the union don't even do the job that the union's all about anymore. And that right there is a big red flag to me. If you're not still doing that job, you're not really able to figure out if the people working in that are supporting that union, what they're going through on a daily basis. And I mean, look at the Teamsters union. The majority of the Teamsters themselves support Trump, but the union didn't want to. They basically got drug into it, kicking and screaming. That's another thing that gets me, is all these unions that have gotten political when they shouldn't be. Especially,
I don't think anybody, period, should be getting political if they're in any sort of position of profession or power.
Well, I'm referring to the fact that the union itself endorses candidates. And if you're a union for a government employees, that should be a no-no. That should be a massive ain't happening. Because we saw what happened in Canada with the Canadian broadcasting system. Even though the conservatives up there said that they were going to be increasing the amount of money that the CBC was going to be getting, the liberals up there said, "Oh, we'll give you double what they said that you'll get." And guess who the CBC started endorsing and supporting in their election cycles? So yeah,
Yep.
If you're gonna have like a government controlled entertainment broadcast and all that other stuff, that should be completely bipartisan. No way. Yeah. You don't endorse no damn body.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about a lot of these unions, teachers unions especially. I mean, they're losing their ever-loving mind because they're talking about shutting down the Department of Education. I'm sorry. I remember the Department of Education coming into being. That's how old my ass is. I also remember the fact that we went from being the number one place for education on the fucking planet. And I think we're at 48 now. And we just keep going down. We spend the most money on earth for education than per student than anywhere else. And we're at the bottom. something needs to be changed. And I'm sick and tired of the knee jerk, think of the children reaction that we're getting. I am thinking about the children. I'm looking at the fact that we've thrown all that money away and gotten nothing for it except a bloated system that is a drain on the system. And there are so many children and adults now that were so severely handicapped by the bad education system. There are so many people who fell between the cracks because of what they've done in education. And
All I can say is at this point, what education?
exactly.
They're
They're
not educating anymore. They're indoctrinating.
plus the fact you have so many children that graduate from high school that can't even read their diplomas. Just one is too many. Just
Yeah.
one is too many. And that number is way more than one that are graduating who can't read the diploma they just got handed. And that to me is one of the biggest reasons why I say get rid of the teachers' unions and get rid of the Department of Education. There's a lot of people that are teachers that should not be teachers because they're either not teaching the student or they're abusing the student or taking advantage of the student, which is also abusing of the student. But you know what I mean. Now, when I grew up, capital punishment was still something that happened in schools. And no, I don't mean execution. I mean actually getting your butt whooped with this nice big thick paddle with holes drilled into it.
Yep, I remember that. I remember those days.
Back then, if a student attacked a teacher or somebody that worked there, that was going to be hell to pay. Now it's a common occurrence. I used to have a friend that was a teacher here at the Charlotte Mecklenburg schools. And she talked, and this was in, yeah, it was still in the 90s about the fact, because this was right after they started putting metal detectors in schools. And it was still controversial at the time. And I'm like, why are they talking about putting that in the schools? And she told me about how one of the other teachers got stabbed when a student pulled a switchblade on him. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe. I had a hard time believing it. And do you remember when Saving Private Ryan came out?
Vaguely, yes.
Okay. When that movie came out, they needed chaperones so they could take the kids to go see the movie. And I was one of the chaperones that went to go see it with them. And she introduced me to her friend who was the teacher who got stabbed. And I was like, when I went to school, if something like that happened, that kid not only got expelled from the schools in that school district, but throughout the entire state. And if they were going to get educated, they had to go through a special school system. And they told me that now at the time, they barely got a slap on the wrist. That they ended up returning to the school after a short period of being expelled from the school. And I was in shock. And I said, well, if that's the case, I can understand why there's a teachers union. But after the stuff that I've been seeing with how bad the education system has gotten, all I can think of is, damn, some of these cases, I will lay the blame on the parent, because if the parent lets the kid get away with shit, that's the type of shit you're going to get it coming from them. And some of the stuff I've been hearing about the Caramello Anthony, the kid that stabbed the other kid down there in Texas at the track meet.
Yeah.
Because some of the other students that went to school with this Carmelo kid was talking about the fact that he was belligerent and always getting into fights and pulling knives and shit like that. And he was from a family that had means. And I was like, holy crap, that's really messed up if it's true. And I mean, damn. When I see stuff like that, it makes me wonder just how far our entire society has gotten if you've got that much violence going on in school. One of the places you shouldn't have it. Because, I mean, my generation, you know, that is when they really, it didn't get traction that well when I was in school between me and my sister. That was a 10-year age gap. Somehow they were able to go from, if the bully hits you, you can hit back, to if you hit back, you're just as guilty as the bully. And now it's the point of, if you hit back, you're worse than the bully.
Yeah. Because the victim is the aggressor for some reason.
Yeah. And to me, that's like, what the hell? Because if somebody attacks you, they're the one that made the attack, not you. Yeah. I also was raised that way, Bubba. That if you ever fucked up in school and you ended up getting a spanking in school, you got an even worse spanking when you got home. But back then, it was also, for me, it was, if a neighbor saw you doing something really fucked up, they would spank you, and then by the time you got home, you got an even worse spanking, because the neighbor had to give you a spanking for acting out like a dumbass.
I was in that situation once and only once, and that is not a story I care to retell.
Yeah, I mean, kids today, I mean, they get away with stuff that we never even contemplated doing. I mean, you showed your ass once out there, you got your butt whooped right there. Bam.
All I have to do is show people of my generation and older a picture of a street light at dusk, and they automatically know what that means.
Yep, it's time to get the fuck home.
Yep, you get your ass back home before I beat you. That is exactly what that picture means.
Here's one for everybody. See if they know it. Hold on, let me turn my camera on. When your parent looks at you and does this.
Oh, yeah.
Or worse, this.
Yep. Only once did I ever get 3.
And if it gets to this, you start praying to God, because it means your ass is grass and it's getting busted. That was the whole 3 strikes rule we had, because at the second count, start running, because by the time it hits the 3 count, whoa, the leather strap comes out and it starts getting swung around, and death is on the fucking table.
A little more visual demonstration. One thing that I got from my dad only once growing up. This thing right here.
Yep.
When this loosens,
your butt's hurt. Like Shrubby says, you'd be leaving a U-shaped hole in that fucking wall to get the hell away. Not the door, the wall, anything that's between you and getting away.
Yep.
But that was how we grew up. But we also grew up having to be a little bit more self-sufficient. I mean, I was the latchkey generation kid, and most people don't remember that. We were the free range generation before that term ever came up. But the difference is we were that way out of necessity. Free range children came about because the parents decided we're coddling our kids too much, and they're not learning how to live in the world and be able to take care of themselves. You know, that whole wrapping the kid up in fucking bubble wrap before you let them outside the front door commercials. You
Oh,
remember those?
I felt so bad for that kid.
Because there are parents that hover like that. That's where the whole helicopter parent came from. And I'm like, holy shit! I was not going to be that type of a parent for my kids. I was wanting them to be able to, you know, I still wanted to be there for them, but I wanted them to go out and experience life. That way they could learn a little on their own, because when you do it yourself, you learn a heck of a lot more. That's why it said true wisdom comes from watching somebody else screw the hell up and learn, I shouldn't do that. Unfortunately, that kind of wisdom comes with age.
Yeah.
Little kids don't have that kind of wisdom. And they need to learn, if I touch it, I'm going to get burnt. Because you can ask almost everybody when you was a little kid, did you have to touch the hot thing to learn not to touch it?
Nope.
And most people will sit there and say, yeah, I had to touch it first. Oh.
Now me, I didn't have to touch it because I learned from watching my mom.
Yeah. Me, I reached up and grabbed it because I didn't want to fall down and got burnt. That was how I learned not to touch something.
Yeah, my grandma was she was very different in the way that she raised me.
Yeah.
I mentioned in passing a few times that I was raised incredibly sheltered.
Yeah.
Like, I was not allowed access to the internet. My media intake was very limited, and even then, 90% of what I remember watching growing up was golf, from where Grandpa was watching tournaments on TV.
Yeah. Well, see, I was raised by my grandparents as well as my parents. I spent half of the year with my parents and the other half with my grandparents, which is why I love old movies. I love old music, like big band music and jazz and swing. From my great-grandmother, I learned about what life was like before and during the Great Depression. That's why I say I've got institutional memory of that, is because they taught me about it.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why, if something is still usable, and even though I've bought a new replacement for it, I keep the old thing around in case the new one breaks. And I don't like wasting food. I mean, even if I'm full, I'll still finish my plate, or I will put it in a container so I can eat it later, because I don't like wasting food. And these are all little things that came from that upbringing.
Yeah. Where my grandma was raised, she was raised as, I think, the middle child of a family of 5 kids, a very dirt poor family of 5 kids. They were the kind of family that at Christmas time, she was lucky to get maybe one toy. If that, usually she got like a piece of clothing or something like that. And the way she was raised, the way she was raised, she was the chief dishwasher, and if her dad pulled out a plate and there was even one speck of dirt on any of them,
Yeah.
she had to rewash all of them.
Yeah. Well, my grandparents and my parents, especially my mom, talked about Christmas time. My mom, her family was so poor it wasn't even funny. Christmas time, the biggest gift that they got was a net stocking that was filled with nuts and apples and oranges. It was mostly oranges because the oranges lasted longer than the apples. And some candies.
Yeah.
You know, hard candies. Maybe if you were lucky, you got one that had some chocolate in it. But that was what Mama grew up for Christmas, and she grew up with clothes made out of flour sacks. Back in the day, whenever the flour sacks actually was made to look like regular cloth that you would see clothing made out of, was
Yeah.
because people were that poor. And that was something that they grew up with. And mom would talk about the fact that she'd get made fun of because her clothes were made out of flour sack cloth. And it's one of the reasons why she didn't get past the 9th grade before she dropped out of school. And when she went back to get her GED, they said it wouldn't be that hard for her to get it as a high school. It'd be just as easy to get a high school diploma. And so she went for the diploma instead of a GED. And when she got it, we were all super proud. That then meant she could then turn around and go and do go to the community college and get all the qualifications to become a paramedic. And it was because she did that with Dad, and she breezed through all that training. And I, I know I talk about my parents on here a lot about all the things that they did that inspired me, but because it was inspiring being a for my dad. He was a volunteer firefighter, a volunteer auxiliary policeman. They built the Hickory Nut Gorge EMS, which almost from the year they started it was winning awards. I mean, it was the best EMS service in both North and South Carolina. And they had a badge made because they kept that status almost the entire time my parents were involved with it. And that started in 83, 84, something like that, all the way to 94. They were always the top of the list. And about a year and a half ago, I was talking with one of the guys I grew up with up in the mountains that he's involved in the volunteer firefighting. And I was asking about Hickory Nut Gorge EMS if he could go and get some pictures of it for me. He's like, they don't exist no more, dude. And I'm like, what? Yeah, they shut it down. They shut the Hickory Nut Gorge EMS down. Who shut them down? The state. And I'm like, why the hell did the state shut them down? And what ended up happening was the Hickory Nut Gorge EMS. We raised our own funds to cover everything ourselves. And after all of us all the original people that got it started had retired from doing anything active, the new people that came in decided to allow the state to donate funding for it. Oh, we need more funding, so yeah, let's let the state do it. And they ended up over time being able to shut them down because they were accepting funding from the state, even though they still was raising money themselves. And I'm like, Oh man. And now they only have the county that's actually funded by the county and the state operating. They no longer have the volunteers going, and which really sucks because it was us volunteers that was doing it because we wanted to be there. That we weren't doing it just for a paycheck, you know. Just average people stepping up and seeing a need and filling it. When it was us just doing it that way, we were winning awards. We were the top of the line. I mean, there were people who were professionals that went to advanced schooling to be paramedics that could not meet our level of training, our level of dedication, and our level of getting the job done and saving lives. When we moved off of the mountain, mom and dad tried to get into the volunteer groups that were here in this area. And when they saw the qualifications my parents had, they got scared because the professionals were not as qualified as my mom and dad, who were seen as amateurs. My father had the ability to push drugs on his own recognizance. He had those qualifications. That if somebody was hurt bad enough and he felt, oh, they're hurt bad enough, they need this pain medicine that's a controlled substance, and I can give it to them right here, right now, without the doctor back at the hospital saying, go ahead and push it. My dad and mom had those qualifications. Regular paramedics don't. And then when they found out that we came off the mountain where the hospital was about an hour's drive away from where we were operating, then they were like, oh, okay, I can see now why you had it, but you really shouldn't have it now. And dad was like, I've got those qualifications for the next 4 years. I'm not just going to let it go,
Yeah.
you know? And when I got out of the Navy in 93, they were working for NASCAR, doing NASCAR races, providing medical emergency medicine for the Charlotte Motor Speedway here in Charlotte, and they were talking about trying to decide if they should go for and re-up all their qualifications again, even though they were only using that by going and doing NASCAR and the various other racing organizations in the area. And so, because that was going to be like $800 or $900 to get all those, go through all that recertification. And at the time, they didn't think that they felt that it just wasn't worth the money because they weren't being allowed to take part in all the volunteer or stuff in this area because they were just too qualified. They were overqualified for it.
Yeah.
And so my mom and dad made the decision to stop going through requalifications. And they didn't take it lightly, making that decision. I mean, they called all of us kids in to make that, and my grandparents to make that decision because they're like, it was such a major part of their lives because they were 18. And I can't say it more that when they worked as a team like that, they were great. I mean, it didn't matter who was behind the wheel and who was in the back. You got home, you got to the hospital alive. And your odds of surviving was so high it wasn't even funny. Up in the Lake Lure area back then, if it was said that if you were hurt and in need of help and you saw a green pickup truck coming your way with a light on top of it, your odds of surviving went up by 100%. It's one of the reasons why I'm still upset with my brother-in-law's sister and her husband or ex-husband now, that they convinced my mom and dad to fix up the green truck and that they would buy it. And my parents spent money they did not have. They actually had to borrow money to fix it up to sell it to him. And then he crashed it within a month of buying it, and then he refused to pay it off. And that left my mom and dad in such a massive hole of debt that oh God, it still pisses me off to this day. But yeah, that truck was, I wish it still existed, but it don't no more. So it's water under the bridge. But anywho, we just hit the 2 hour mark. I hope everybody's had a good time, just sitting around and shooting the shit, listening to us talking about movies that look like they might be good, and talking about Buckethead's channel and his plans for it. I've got hopes for it too, Bubba. How long before you can get all the equipment from your aunt?
It depends on her. She still has to order it.
Mm-hmm.
Her plans to order it have been cemented. It's just a matter of when she can get the time. Because she has some legal stuff she's going through with a roofing company that cheated her.
Oh wow.
But
that's never fun.
I'm hoping that she can at least have them ordered by my birthday.
Oh, good. I hope so, Bubba. I just want everybody, I just want everybody to be able to be the best they can be. That's how I look at the world. I want people to be the best that they can be. I want to see your channel get up off the ground and be everything you dream it to be. And you guys know what my dream.
Yeah, my brother and one of his friends subscribed last night. Anti-derivative Jill actually subscribed.
Oh, sweet. Let me check something right quick. Because if I remember right, I've already subscribed to your channel. I just want to make it.
I think so. I actually have no way, to my knowledge, of checking who all is subscribed to my channel.
Yep, I am subscribed. I just had to double check and make sure because I don't want to come across as a hypocrite,
Yeah.
But then again, I am a very forgetful person, and I always have to double check and make sure I'm subscribed to all of my friends.
I mean, you're at that age. You're at that age where you have that excuse.
Yeah, TBI can also fall into that. But yeah, I mean, you guys know what I want for this channel. I want us to be able to come onto it and share the stuff that we love. And by doing that, I really do feel that by sharing what we love, we can make the world a better place. There's just too many people out there, like I said, are doing the griefer thing, that are doing nothing but spreading chaos and pain and heartbreak. And it's something that it upsets me. And it makes me so upset. I talked about this the other day there's several Facebook groups out there that claim to be pro-America, pro-Trump, pro-MAGA, that's actually being run by people who hate America, hate Trump. And they literally have admitted that they are running those groups to make money off of conservatives because conservatives are gullible. And it's not the fact that we're gullible, it's the fact we're willing to give anybody a chance. And if you're out there saying, hey, this is what's going on, and we look into it, we do, you know?
Yeah.
And it just
Being,
it's just really frustrating when they
yeah.
pull stuff like that.
Being smart, educating yourself, and then finding out later that this company that you've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in is a crooked company, and it's been ripping. Well,
Ripping us off.
I'm sure you're familiar with the honey scandal that's come up lately.
Yes. Now,
Yeah.
what these guys are doing is they're posting stuff that's lies and doing it in a way that is supposed to make conservatives share it and look like idiots. And it's so messed up, it's not even funny. And it really upsets me when I see that stuff. And like I said, all it's doing is spreading chaos and it's spreading hate. And we've got too much of that in our world today. And we need to do something about it. And the only thing I can think about how to do it is sharing the stuff that we love. If there's a news story out there that's touched us to share it, I share it, even if it makes you mad. Or if I can't share it here because I'm too afraid that they'll kill my little tiny little channel that's only got 56 subscribers on it, I tell you to look it up.
Yep.
Like I did with Angry Cops in the Buffalo schools. Because and there are some things that sets me off that I can't articulate well enough. So I'm going to be pointing you guys to other people's channels that have videos on certain subjects because they explain it a heck of a lot better than I can. That's where I'm coming from. If anybody in my chats have stuff they want to talk about or subjects that they would love to touch on, I'm more than open for it. I'm even willing to let you come on here as a panelist to do it. That's why Zachary's on here. There's a lot of stuff he loves talking about, be it gaming or movies. I'm more than willing to have anybody on here. I'm doing this channel so I can have more interactions with my son, so he can get to know me better. And so everybody, long story short is I love all of you. And I just want each and every one of you to know that you're not alone. If you're going through something, reach out. That's not a sign of weakness. That's actually a sign of strength. Too many people today don't realize the fact that we're all in this together. Nobody's on their own. God's always going to be with you. And while we mere mortals have a hard time listening to God or hearing God or feeling God, that's why he uses us, all of us, to touch and communicate, to help you guys understand you're not alone. And there's many of us who are touched to reach out to be protective of others. And don't take it all on your own shoulders. They'll break one day. Ask me how I know. So everybody share the things you love. Let's try to make this world a better place. And be good to each other. And any closing words you got there, brother?
Nope, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head.
No, thank you. Y'all be good and know that I love you. I'm praying for you. Ian, you and your family we're praying big time. Just let your wife and her family know that we're praying for y'all and we're thinking about you. And we're sorry we weren't able to help you guys get a place to stay while he was in the hospital in time. Um, but yeah, y'all be good to each other and love each other. And we'll see you next time. Bye now.